Come to the coast. We'll get together. Let's have a few laughs. Hey, let's be really clear about something. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, okay?
So is that okay in church?
Yippee-ki-yay!
Crossroads Church in Ohio it's a large church. I don't doubt that they're doing the work of the Lord. I have no idea. What we do know is some of the controversy that's come up because of some of the things they do. They do, and they will push the envelope in terms of what's too much as far as entertainment, and they spare no expense. I mean, they will go all out for a performance. Sometimes, though, they go, I think, a little too far in what they do, such as this particular scene from Die Hard.
Man, God bless America. Smoking in church? Oh, how good it is.
Is that good, though? Won't people be offended by that? And don't you know that people are going to be offended by that? I'm pretty sure they do. I'm pretty sure they know that folks are going to be offended. And that might be an issue, because if you know they're going to be offended, you've heard the backlash, you've gotten the emails and the phone calls, and you say, you know what? I don't care. Well, there's an old saying that says all publicity is good publicity. Well, not really. As a matter of fact, what we don't need is to bring attention to the body in a negative fashion. We are to be, as the Bible says, according to the scriptures, as Peter says, that we are to be holy. Like the one who calls you, be holy yourselves also in your behavior. Why? Because it is written, be holy, for I am holy. Does that mean be perfect? No, but we should be different, not like the world. The reason why this is an issue now is because after the Super Bowl we just celebrated or had, they have their normal Super Bowl Sunday service, and they want to address the controversy from last year. And so the problem with it, though, and you can maybe you can understand where they're coming from, but the problem is how they kind of go on the attack also in defending themselves. And then also really what they did last year, was that okay?
Now, I think the reason is because you and I, deep inside of us, we have this thing that makes us deeply suspicious whenever we see what looks like sustained success, aka favor. We assume there's something fishy going on. That's what we say about the Chiefs. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, not the Chiefs, and it's the refs. That's why Roger Goodell wants them to get ahead.
So what he's talking about is he's kind of bringing in together. People say that the Chiefs are there because the refs have been cheating for them, and this play, why did they call it this way? They seem to be getting favorable calls. And he's saying that the reason why people look at that because the Chiefs, because they're successful, they're on top. And people, and it's almost like being jealous. They're jealous of the Chiefs, they're hating on the Chiefs, and because of their success, they want to bring them down. And so he's going to kind of equate that with why people have come at them for, I guess he feels their success, and the only reason why you're saying what you're saying about us at our church is because of our success.
That's what we say about them. And that doesn't just apply to the Chiefs, by the way. Anybody or anything that's successful, we take this stance with. We hear it all the time at Crossroads. All the time. Not new at all, but it did explode last year.
Now let's pause before he goes forward. He says we hear it all the time at Crossroads. Again, you're constantly hearing people's complaints, and you say you don't care. Just say that. Just say, we don't care. We don't care what you think. We are going to do what we want to do. Say that.
Went to a whole entirely different level. And it's this accusation that we're just about the show. You've ever heard that? It's just about the show. Which, if you're brand new today, one, welcome, pumped you're here. Number two, I want to be very, very clear on this point. Please hear me. Yes, we're about the show today. Yes, of course. We hope it's awesome. But we're not just about the show. We're about you experiencing Jesus. We're about you meeting him. We're about every chain in your life breaking and you experiencing the life-changing power that only comes through his word. That's what we're...
That only comes through his word, but we're about the show. Those two things don't go together. That only comes through his word, but we're about the show. This church is typically about the show. And it's not just about Super Bowl Sunday or any other time. They've done this for Christmas.
Yes. Are we ready to have fun today?
They've even gone so far as to even have a horse and like a little rodeo ring. again, I think that you could probably make the point without the horse, but again, the horse in the ring.
Well, I have never met her, and so I love the fact that she's already focused on me. Y'all willing to let Holy Spirit do whatever he wants you to do?
So apparently it is about the show, and I want to kind of marry the show with the word. Why? This is the reason why, possibly the reason why the church is as popular as it is, because you bring in people. Now, I don't know what the lives are of the people there. I haven't done a survey, but here's what I have noticed in just my life. Granted, it's just anecdotal. This is from my experience. People who go to churches where it's more than the word, where you've got different stunts, you've got different gimmicks, you've got people doing all sorts of things where people are going to remember how the sanctuary was dressed up and the different high wire acts and things like that. They remember those, but then go back and ask them what was the word about. They've got to, I'm not sure, because what's going to keep you throughout your life, when you're going through ups and downs and trials and tribulations, when certain heartaches are going to come, without question they're going to come, what holds you, what sustains you is going to be the meat, not the dessert, not the entertainment, but the meat, potatoes, the things that you can remember, that you can digest and hold on to because of what the scriptures say. And it causes you to even remember because you go back and search the scriptures yourself. You can't go back and reenact what you've seen on the stage. You can't go back and reenact a Die Hard scene. You can't go back and reenact a horse in the ring. You can't go back and reenact the Will Ferrell and the elf, but you can't go back and read the scriptures. That's the problem. So he's trying to address that, the uproar that people had because of them, what they did with the Bible and the tackling and playing the football on stage. And he's addressing it, but I don't think that he's doing it the right way.
That's what we're about. It's why we do the Big Dumb Show. It's actually why we started Crossroads 29 years ago, as a place where it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't matter if you've given up on church, if you're interested in what God can do in your life, that's why we're here. And we started this thing, the Super Bowl preaching, on the weekend that was the least attended church weekend of the year. And we flipped it on its head. And we made it this thing that's now this giant party that connects, literally, it's connected tens of thousands of people to Jesus. It's absolutely incredible. And for that, do you know what we get? Hated.
Do you know what we get? We try to do the right thing, and what do we get? Hate. We got hated on. But before I let him continue, remember what Paul says. Whether you eat or whether you drink, whether you're putting on a service during Super Bowl Sunday, whatever you do it all to the glory of God. Look what he says in verse 32. Give no offense either to the Jews or to the Greeks or to the church of God. And the whole goal is to win people, but you don't say, you know what, I'll do whatever to win them at the expense of these other people. No, give no offense to the Jews, to the Greeks, or to the church of God. So when you say we don't really care, or you act that way, you don't really say it, but you act that way because you've admitted that you've gotten all these reports, these complaints. Well, we don't care. And if you're offended, fine, be offended. And that's really on you because you guys are hating, you're jealous. We get all this hate. Find that, let that comport with the scriptures, because it doesn't.
Absolutely hated. Like I said, it exploded last year thanks to one online article that accused us of kicking a Bible. It went to a totally different level. We got thousands of emails and complaints, texts, everything from people all over the country just telling us how much they hate us, how bad we are. It reached such a bad level that one of us up here actually had to have private security for us and our kids for weeks due to a death threat. Still, it follows us around. My kids at school, just in the past week, have each had somebody come up to them and say, you know, Crossroads is a fake church because you hate the Bible. You kick.
Now, that part is unfortunate if that's true. And we shouldn't do that. And that just typifies someone who is not a godly person. They might think they are. And so the response would be to them is, you know what? Yeah, well, you're not showing very much that you love the Bible. You love the Lord, because these threats that you're giving us because you didn't like what we did, we don't do that. You wouldn't go do it to Muslims, would you? You wouldn't go do it to atheists, would you? But to other people that call themselves brothers? No. And so that's just wrong. But let's let them continue.
Kick the Bible. Which, just for the record, I just want to be really clear. This is a book cover, okay? And there's this phone inside. So it's always been in there. It's not a Bible. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Under the surface, you won't find people who hate the Bible. You'll find people up here who love God's word and are trying to shape our lives.
Now, he says that we didn't kick the Bible. Well, who knew that? You made it seem like a Bible. You made it seem like a Bible. Why? Why make it look like it's a Bible if it's phone? Matter of fact, you could have just said that. You know what you could have did? You could just put a football up there. Or here's a novel idea. Here's a thought. Rather than you kicking a Bible cover, making folks think that there's a Bible on the inside, because obviously that's what they're going to think. If you got a Bible cover and it's zipped up, what's normally inside of that? A Bible, right? So you knew what people were going to think. But here's an idea, here's a thought. How about instead of kicking a Bible or what looks like a Bible, not even kicking the actual football, not even actually dressing up like the different teams, not even arranging the stage like it's a football field. How about just not doing that at all and just give the word? That's a novel idea. How about that? And oh, by the way, this is what it looked like last year.
Spicy casseroles to receive. Patterson holds Driscoll back to kick. We're going to get some emails. Here we go.
Now, notice what he says. He says, and we're going to get some emails. Again, we don't care. We don't care what you think. We know we're going to get some. Why? Because we've been getting them. It's not just for that show. It's for all the other things, and you still don't care. Why? This is what's been bringing people in. Okay.
And convince you to do the exact same thing. Now, this lie was started by this one website, which I'll call highly questionable. And I won't get into all the details, that's not the point, but just a couple reasons. One, the founder was convicted of embezzlement and defamation, among many other things. Not hard information to find. And yet, not a single one of the podcasters and pundits who read that article ever questioned it, ever to this day have reached out to us to ask the truth.
Couple things. One, you've already told us that you've gotten emails, you've gotten contacted, and so it doesn't matter to you. What's going to change? One more email, one more response is going to do what? To go with the thousands that you've received. But then secondly, you mean to tell me your defense, part of your defense is to attack the person who put this on? He's talking about Protestia, which is why you see the little logo at the very bottom. You see Protestia. You have a problem with that. You have a problem with him. Not, what about what you did? What about what you did? Now, Paul has put it this way. He says, am I your enemy because I've told you the truth? Not just Protestia, but other people. So you want to go and say that he has a past, and okay, fine, he does. Well, and I'm pretty sure that you got folks there, including yourself, who have a past, whether they were convicted of a crime or not. Does that absolve or does that nullify the truth that was told? Was there anything wrong that was told? No. Again, other people also see the exact same thing and came to the exact same conclusion. You're making a mockery of the Lord and his service. We're not like the rest of the world. So that was really a low blow. That was wrong. That was foul. And so maybe you do deserve all the criticism that you get.
They just swallowed it whole and repeated the lie. And if you can't tell, that causes me a lot of irritation. And whenever I have irritation, the first thing I turn to is Preparation H. It does the job. Oh my goodness.
This is just more of a joke, right? This is, okay, fine. You're trying to be funny. Okay, cool, fine. But this is still church. It's still church, though. And yeah, you're irritated. Well, then, if you're irritated, is someone else also allowed to be irritated by what they see you doing? You wouldn't do this. You're not going to do this in heaven. You wouldn't do this. Could you imagine if Jesus walked the earth right now? He was still here. His time for his death, burial, and resurrection hadn't occurred. Would you do this? Would you do this during the first century, during the church? Would you have done this then? No, you would not.
Does the job. I do. If you can't tell, I find that very, very frustrating. But to be honest, I don't find it strange because I have to be honest and say I do the exact same thing. That's why I can't judge any of those people. Whenever I see somebody that's big and successful doing something that I'm jealous of, I have the same baseline assumption.
Hold on. He said, I can't judge those people. You just did. You just did. But when I see something big and successful, and so, okay, we're up here, this little person, I can't judge this person. Why? Why should the lion have any concern for the ant? The ant's just jealous. And oh, by the way, he's a criminal ant. He's a no good ant. So I get it. I understand. I would in his position, I would look up to something big and successful and be jealous too.
Man, there's something fishy going on there. Must be something weird happening. And you do the same thing. I know you do. And the problem is when we take that posture and attitude, it stops us from learning the lesson of how we might attract God's faithfulness in our own lives.
Well, we don't do it that way. We don't attract God's faithfulness that way. And to go after someone like you did, that wasn't good at all. That was not godly. Matter of fact, it was uncalled for. It was just wrong. It was you trying to get your shot in. But now listen, say what you want to say. I know someone bigger than you who is going to have a talk with you, who's going to have an issue. You don't care about other people, the least of them. You don't care about the least of those amongst you. You don't care about what they think. What they think is insignificant. They don't go here. Who cares what they think? Well, let me tell you about your worship. How you approach God absolutely matters. Ladies and gentlemen, it does matter. I'm not saying that you can't have fun and you can't enjoy yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But if people have been offended and how you approach him in your worship, think about Nadab and Abihu. The Bible says in Leviticus 10, let's read the story. Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective fire pans and after putting fire in the pan, placed the incense on it and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. I didn't tell you to do this. You're doing this because, I don't know, if you felt like you needed to, wanted to, it'd be a good idea. And fire came out of the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Now, here is the lesson here. When Moses speaks to Aaron, that's their father, obviously he's distraught. He's hurt. He's bothered. God, you took my sons. By the way, Aaron, you should know better. You started this off. You were the first one. You were the one who put together, fashioned this golden calf. You were spared. You should have learned your lesson. You should have taught your children that. Maybe you taught them that it's okay to mock God. It's okay to do whatever you want to. He'll forgive you. He'll let bygones be bygones. Okay.
Now, I think the reason is because you and I, deep inside of us, we have.
And so what does he say? He says, by those who come near me, I will be treated as holy. I will be regarded as holy. You will treat me and approach me as though I am holy. I'm not like somebody else. I'm not some cartoon character. I'm not to be reduced or put on the same stage as some movie character. No, he says, before all the people, I will be honored. And so therefore, Aaron kept silence. How you worship him does matter. And how you teach people to worship him does matter. How you approach him, it does matter. Again, he's God. He's not the president who you probably wouldn't approach the same way. Maybe you would. He's not some judge who you probably wouldn't approach the same way. He's not some person that you're looking to get hired for, some job interview who you probably would not approach that way, or your boss. No, he's more than that. He's not your friend, your buddy, your bosom buddy, your the guy that you go to movies with, or the girl that you go to the salons with. No, he is God. And we should be learning how to reverence him in that fashion. Be in awe of him. But if we're teaching the opposite, that we can kind of have our cake and eat it too, be like the world, and then come in and be like the world, even in church, and be okay, you might be sending the wrong message. You might be sending the wrong message. We should be talking about your doctrine. I have no idea what your doctrine is. I have no idea. But if your doctrine says that we can do what we want to on stage, call it church, that's fine. And we can not have a problem with brothers and sisters in the Lord who have a problem with what you're doing and just dismiss it, that's okay. Makes me wonder what your doctrine is about. The issue isn't that. The issue is how you approach the Lord and how you put him on display for the world. Again, those outside the church will look at this and say, this is what you do. This is what you think about God. And those who are not serious about God might find that appealing. And therefore, that might be the reason why you can have a ridiculously large church. Nothing wrong with having a large church at all. But that might be the reason why. How about this? Let's see if all you did was give the word with no stunts, no gimmicks, no props, no nothing, no horses, no clowns, none of the dancing. You listen to some of the music. They introduce some of the music from the world and bring it in.
'Cause baby, now we got bad, you know we used to be. So take a look with you. 'Cause baby, now we got bad. Hey.
Remember when you tried to write me off?
Feel your inhibitions, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, only you can let it.
Well, John says, do not love the world or the things of the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. And so sometimes we want, I like that song, this Taylor Swift song. I don't know what whoever sings the other song. My daughter says Taylor Swift sings the other song. I'm not sure. But whatever it is, popular song, you bring that in because, hey, let's get them. That's not what you want to do. So what if you didn't do that at all? What if you did not do that at all? What if you had no props, no gimmicks, no horses, no singing, no Super Bowl parties, none of that stuff, but just the word? What would your church be like? What would your church be like? You would know for a fact that the committed at your church would be committed because of the word. Here, we don't know. It's in question. It's in doubt. We have no idea. Maybe they are committed to the word. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're committed to the show, like you said you want to put on. And for that reason, you ought to take a second look. You probably won't, but you should. If that is what your church is about, entertaining and making people feel comfortable, then I doubt that you're being that serious about the work. Imagine the time that you put into that. And these are your pastors that are on stage to rehearse their lines and things like that. What if you spend all that time in the Word, rehearsing the Word, learning the Word, and presenting it in a way that people, you know what, I really enjoyed how you did that, and it stuck with them, rather than you kicking a football. Amen.
Holiness.